Hey, what's up? Welcome to my YouTube channel, Cotton Cali. It's a pleasure to be with you today. Um, Hope you're well, and I just want to talk about some things. I've been having some crazy dreams lately, and they really seem to be connected in some sort of way, and so I just want to share some insights surrounding them all the while just being able to allow this video to be a warming lip balm meditation for you while we're going through these crazy times. Um, but I just want to just kind of share what's been going on. So, two of my dreams indicate this sense of graduation that's happening. Um, us as human beings, not in any particular class, race, gender, but us as humans um, are graduating. One of my dreams from 3 days ago consisted of me attending a graduation, and I had some familiar faces, friends of mine in real life that I seen, um, and it reminded me that there's a level of success that we measure our life, right? Especially when it comes to education, and we know graduating from an educational standpoint from high school, college, trade school. But there's also this, what would I call it? Cultural consciousness graduation that we are all attending, that we're all a part of. If we just think about what history tells us about, we can use the Adam and Eve story of a fall. And some people can consider it a fall from grace, but I'm more so referring to a fall in consciousness. Um, just as like my second dream I have here is referring to a fifth floor level in a hotel room. It's kind of a little side note. But let's say, hypothetically, I'm not exactly sure, but the Adam and Eve story, let's say they were at a 12th level, or let's say seventh level conscious version of themselves. V7, seventh floor. And from that seventh floor, let's say, since I'm kind of using this elevator analogy, the elevator collapsed to the first floor. And in that collapse is losing kind of all the mechanisms necessary to be at that seventh level of mindset, of being, of operation. So going back to my dream, since that fall, we've been operating in this low level mindset. Like, we know how savage we are to one another. We know how just nasty, manipulative, war, tyranny, all of these different things that we've been so used to being since we know history to be. And our graduation is actually leading us up to a I would say fifth floor or V5 version of ourselves. Why five? Because let's look at it like this. So we have V1, V2, V3. Now V3 is actually kind of like V1 through 3 are like basic levels, let's say in a sense of just like how we know dimensions to be. So we have length times width times height, which is 3. And then we have 4. So we know like L times W times H will give us a point, and V4 will give us motion. So that's like a time interval. V5 is just kind of the next phase above the time that we know, which kind of puts us in the realm of, I would say, divine timing or the timing of energy. So in our minds, we've only operated through time as we know it, through time is money, through we have to work against time because we only have a certain amount of time left. All of these different kind of mindsets that keep us in this, I would say, V1 through 4 mindsets. And we've all kind of like oscillated through these different versions through this, I would say specifically this life, right? Just growing up in childhood, and depending on your background and depending on, I would say, what God has deposited in you as your gifts, we all have just oscillated in these different versions over life thus far. But it's now time for V5. And it's now time for us collectively to operate in V5. And reason being is that we have to let go of these warmongering, defensive, us versus them, you versus me ways of living in order for us to actually work together so that we can get ourselves out of these horrific and tragic situations we put ourselves in because we operate at these lower versions of ourselves. And so I guess I can kind of go into more details of my second dream, where I remember I was working at this hotel, and I would say the hotel just kind of represents the different places like you put your energy into. So whether if that's your workplace, your home place, the hotel just represents the all-encompassing space of all of that. And me and a friend of mine, we were wanting to go from working in the hotel. We just kind of wanted a uncalled for break, like it wasn't scheduled. I know how you know how that could be sometimes when it comes to work. And so she called a ride share, and the driver showed up. And I don't know if you ever had those awkward like interactions with like trying to get to the car because the driver's backing up. You don't know if you're gonna go on the left side or the right side, and it's just that awkward like, oh, are you gonna? And so we were kind of doing that with the driver, but he ends up like almost like leaving, going across the street, turning around, and then like his back seats in which we were going to sit in ended up like in a mechanical way turning around so that the back of the, let's say like a almost like Volkswagen kind of SUV-ish type car, allow the seats to turn and for us to basically sit in the back for like our feet to kind of hang out. Um, and when I was thinking about, well, what could that mean? Well, I know as far as the break is concerned, I know some of us just feel like, just with life in general, that, you know, even in this time of quarantine, that we just need a break, to a getaway. And I guess the the way of getting there, uh, I think this mode of transportation, um, was very different, right? And it almost was scary in a sense, because, like, sir, you're about to have us out here. It seems like our safety is going to be up for question, you know, hanging out with our feet out the back of your vehicle. And so, I think that just kind of symbolizes how we're going to go on different adventures while we're in this quarantine. And we're going to take the adventures in different unconventional ways that we never thought we would, you know? So we already see the influx of just people gathering on platforms to video chat. I've been to like 3 DJ parties than the last, out more like 5, just kind of peeping in and out of DJs just like doing their thing online, you know. I've been to a birthday party. Uh, I've been to small groups with my church. So there's just been gathering. I've been on a phone call with my blood family. I'm going to continue to do that on a weekly basis. So this may be, you know, not so new to some people, but I'm pretty sure the innovation is going to continue on the different ways we're going to implement the digital access that we have right now. And who knows what's next and how we're going to really take our breaks, and have our getaways. And so, back to the hotel, I thought it was just interesting how the base level floor, like the elevator, was not like you walk up, you press a button, and you're able to go to a different level, but it was actually like almost as if you go into a hotel and you are in the lobby area, and somehow, some way, the lobby has a kind of open space, almost like dance floor ish, where if you went onto the dance floor at a certain level of entering on it, in this kind of empty space in the lobby area, it turned into the elevator. And one thing that I noticed is that the elevator was very comfortable. It wasn't just like boxy, but it was just a very comfortable space. And there were no other levels between the first level and the 5th level. So here we are kind of dealing with V1 through V5. Now on V5, it's kind of like the home level. And I recall being up there, and something that I noticed, because I think as we travel to this kind of like this 5th version of ourselves, and some may know it as 5D, like the 5th dimension of ourselves, I noticed that, you know, collaborative effort, teamwork, no huge egos in the room. I was just working with people in a very unified, one voice, one sound, one unit type way of working when it comes to the team that I was helping. But an interesting thing happened where someone got on the elevator, and this kind of goes into my next dream. Someone got onto the elevator, a guy, and he wanted to use our restroom. And what I noticed is that when he got up to the floor, that people were kind of looking at him funny. He was still able to look at the restroom, but he didn't get the eyes that everyone else would get if it was just, you know, someone else a part of the team. And I think what that kind of symbolizes is that we still have to kind of clean up our outsider type mind frames that we just continue to have when it comes to those who don't look like us, those who are not of our ethnicity, those who are not of the same class as us. Basically, everything that we've put into the boxes that have the elitism, the VIP, the you don't belong type measure, that we still have like that look. We have to clean up that I would say residue of ourselves that do not allow the other to come in. Now, what I will say that was interesting is that the guy was an effeminate man, and I find it fascinating that our world has struggled with embracing the effeminate man, and not even just necessarily a man who's expressing himself completely in feminism or femininity, but just, you know, little mannerisms that seem just enough degrees in order to like get that side eye. We have to really self-examine why that's a thing for us. So I guess I would kind of go into this last dream that I had that kind of connects to this conversation around the effeminate man, or men who express themselves in a feminine way. I was at a restaurant. I was there with some friends. I believe the friends were women, and yeah. And we were kind of like on the upper level, and then on a kind of lower level, there were a group of like 20 dudes, like dudes. And I would say age ranging from the age of 40 to like 60. And they were just chopping it up. You know, they looked like they probably already ate their food, and they were just like kicking it. And it was interesting because as I was looking over my menu and like we were about to order, I'm overhearing like pretty much like a conversation of affirming one another. Like the guys were just going around saying like, yeah, bro, I just appreciate you for, you know, taking care of your wife and your kids, and you know, you just all around, you know, a good friend. And they were just bouncing it around the room. Yeah, man, you always been just a really nice dude, and I just appreciate you just for like, you know, keeping it real. And you know, they was just doing it thug dizzle, which I thought was like, it's a little odd in the sense of like, it's not the norm to hear men affirming one another and speaking positivity in one another, which is pretty much deemed feminine, right? So next thing you know, this young man, there is a stage kind of like at the bottom, and this young man ends up going down on the stage, and he started giving a dance number, and he was killing it, like doing it like it was very contemporary, had a little ballet vibe as well. And I remember turning back around and like trying to figure out like, dang, like what I want, because I was looking at the prices, and the prices really wasn't in my range. And I was like, oh, it's still lunchtime, because I'm like trying to figure out, and I'm like, because I could do the lunch special. So I don't know why, you know, I was trying to budget in my dream, but I was trying to budget in my dream. So I'm looking, and you know, the waitress like confirmed, yeah, it's still lunch. So I was like, oh, let me get it. And boom, a gunshot went off. And I knew the gunshot. Without even seeing, I knew the young man got shot. And I turned around, and the people I was with was in shock. The guys, they were kind of, the vibe was just kind of like, yeah, yeah, he just got shot. You know, and it was interesting because I think as I wasn't shocked about it, the scene kind of changed to where like I was still with my homies and we were like in different areas. I think the restaurant scene changed altogether. We were just in different areas, and some people still come to me like, yo, like, did he really just like die? Like, did he get, I'm like, yeah, like he's dead. You know, I was almost a little irritated because I'm like, let's stop pretending that effeminate men have been an issue. That they've been seen as weak. That any man who encompasses in an outwardly way femininity typically has the judgment upon them that they're not strong, that they can't take care of themselves, they can't protect themselves, that they are the kind of the lowest pit of manhood. And so I'm like, yeah, he got shot. And so kind of circling back to the guy going to the bathroom, I think we all have these different degrees of not appreciating men who have this outward appearance of women-like traits. You know, we cool when it's a joke. We cool when it's dressed up and it's a little wig and it's like, and you know, you getting your shenanigans and your Tyler Perry Medea's on, and I don't know why my wig going like this, but you know, it's all good when it's a joke, but don't let that man go home and that's how he living his life. You should be dead for that. Why is that? What makes the violence, the disgust, the vitriol to want to harm another human being for effeminate expression? Does that have to do something with us projecting that weakness that we haven't dealt with within ourselves because we haven't had safe spaces to do effeminate things? When I say effeminate things, I'm referring to being nurtured, being able to talk in spaces that we feel we can be vulnerable and speak our truth and just be emotional. I feel like it's all connected, and I feel like as we embrace the feminine aspect within ourselves, and this is for men and women, and as women embrace the more masculine aspect, healthy masculine aspect of themselves, that this will get us to understand why we're graduating, why we're unifying, why we're coming into this place of being more effective together. Because we're better together than we are apart. And so I just want us to know that we are graduating, but our graduation ceremony may not be smooth. Be prepared for some shakings to go on in the stadium. Could be some signs falling down, some people up in the booths falling out. When I mean falling out, I don't know what they're falling out from, but just like we're graduating, but as we are in this time of quarantine and coming inside of our homes and sitting down, really, that we recognize that we are crossing the finish line and we're doing it together. But we still have some things, areas to clean up. We still have some things that we need to look at before we cross this stage and do what we need to do after this ceremony. So I just want to close out with setting some intentions and prayer. God, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for this moment. Thank you for the people who are watching this stream. Thank you for their hearts and their minds, that you are growing them up. You're growing us up into a becoming stage, a stage of acceptance, embracing all of ourselves, every nook and cranny. We ask right now that you just clear our mind's eye, our physical eyes, God, our spiritual eyes, so that we can elevate into the places and spaces that are necessary in order for us to walk this thing out. We pray that we all feel the connection that goes beyond this physical realm, this eternal connection that we have with you, that we are love, that we are love itself, that we are in the embodiment of truth, security, that we are the embodiment of trust, God. So we ask that anything that is not of that is in our past, God, and that we're highlighting it that we can learn. So that we can learn the ways that are necessary to operate on this next level, this next dimension that we're headed to together. And we pray this, that it is so, and it is complete. Ashe and amen. Thank you for rocking with me. I appreciate you for hanging out. And till the next video. Peace.